Today, there are so many videos on productivity, many of which present effective techniques to get more work done in a shorter period of time. And disclaimer, this video is not going to be one of them. You see, everyone's concentrating on the plant, watering it with all the cool brainstorming techniques, writing tactics, and expecting it to grow. But no one's focusing on the soil. Now, where am I going with this? Well, here's my main point. Before learning all of these cool productivity techniques, some of which I myself follow, we should learn and understand the framework behind creativity, and that's what this video is going to be about. In this video, I'm going to teach you about the 4 stages that are almost guaranteed to be in play when you solve any problem creatively. This framework was inspired by some of the greatest minds and geniuses in history, and chances are that you might not have even heard about them. So let's talk about Graham Wallace's 4 stages of creativity. And let's begin without further ado. Andrew Wiles spent more than 7 years trying to solve one stubborn math problem. Perelman rejected $1 million after solving one of the hardest mathematical problems of the century. So quite naturally, the first stage of creativity is none other than preparation or hard work. You can think of it like this. The work you put into trying to solve a problem is like the key that unlocks the door to a wide range of possibilities. Out of these possibilities, you might get an idea that could be completely revolutionary and potentially even turn over your life. But on a deeper note, what is hard work, and why is hard work not the only thing required to be a truly creative person? Well, let's start by defining hard work in the first place. Now, hard work, at least colloquially, means a conscious flow of effort dedicated into solving a problem, completing a task, or doing something new. The key distinction between hard work and the later stages of Wallace's 4 stages of creativity is that hard work is conscious. The next 2 stages are going to heavily rely on the subconscious processes going within us. So, when you see someone say, oh, that person worked really hard, either they put in a lot of quality time into doing something, or they spent a lot of hours doing something. But what no one considers when they talk about hard work is the subconscious effort that comes from within, and that is actually very crucial for the stages of creativity. Now let's sum up stage 1 with one final analogy. Your subconscious mind is like a responsible tutor. He'll only help you out if you show that you put in the effort, and if you don't, well then he'll just sit there and do nothing. Most successful people have actually worked really hard in order to achieve great things. People like Ramanujan, Einstein, Newton, and Gauss all have worked hard in order to create some of the greatest discoveries in both math and physics. So ultimately, the first stage in creativity is preparation. So you gotta work hard in order to be creative. Thanks to the book Celebrating Giants and Trailblazers, A to Z of Who's in Creativity Research and Related Fields, Chapter 40 was especially valuable. So let's get back to the video. Incubation is the second stage of creativity. We can boil down incubation into one simple phrase, and that is doing something other than the main task at hand. So while stage 1, which is preparation, is telling you to do your work, stage 2 is basically telling you to not do your work. Now, more implicitly, what stage 1 is telling you to do is to consciously do your work, and stage 2 is telling your subconscious mind to do the work. So you're giving your conscious mind a rest, and you're letting the subconscious mind take over. Wait, what should I do during incubation in the first place? It ultimately depends on what you believe is the best thing to do during incubation. Wallace suggests that we economize our time by spending it on other tasks, and personally, I believe it's the best route to go to. Because the harsh reality is that we are in the 21st century, and we all can't afford an hour break where we just do nothing without getting behind on tasks. Here's what researchers Ormerod and Ignacio said about this. Longer preparation periods gave a greater incubation effect, whereas filling an incubation period with high cognitive demand tasks gave a smaller incubation effect. Surprisingly, low cognitive demand tasks yielded a stronger incubation effect than did rest during an incubation period when solving linguistic insight problems. So the next time you see some productivity techniques that encourage you to take a break, remember that they could have been inspired by Wallace's second stage of creativity, which is incubation. Illumination is arguably the easiest and most rewarding stage of creativity to understand. Illumination is basically the moment at which you get the idea that solves the problem. Now, the key word here is idea. You still have to implement, test, and verify whether the idea works. And that stage is called verification, which indeed is the last stage of Wallace's 4 stages of creativity. Now, all of this is great, but can you give us a scenario in which this method is applied? Imagine your goal is to solve an unsolved mathematical problem. Now, the first thing you do is read up on all the prerequisite material and read some research papers that could have some breakthroughs to solving the problem. Once you've done this, you develop your own methods to solve the problem, and they end up in failure. The stage I've just described is preparation. Then you take a break, and you keep doing this from preparation to incubation, from preparation to incubation, until you hit some random idea. This idea is your aha or eureka moment, and this is illumination, which is stage 3. Obviously, you have to verify this idea to see if it works or not, and that's stage 4, which is verification. And when you do, you actually find that this idea is a failure. Or in other words, this idea or method does not work. But you're not discouraged, so you go back to the drawing board, learn some new branches of mathematics that mathematicians haven't tried yet, and then take a break, and then alternate between preparation, incubation, preparation, incubation, preparation, and incubation until you get another brilliant idea. And this idea is illumination, obviously. Then you have to test whether this idea is true or not, and from verification, you find that this idea does indeed work. And boom, you have solved the problem. Although we've talked about the 4 stages of creativity, we can't end this video before talking about the people who've made this framework possible. The man, the myth, and the legend behind this method is none other than Graham Wallas. As one of the founders of the renowned London School of Economics, as well as a supporter for women's rights and minimum wages, Graham Wallas can be described as a forward thinker. If you find success in this method, remember to thank Graham Wallas and all the giants he stood upon to create this method. Now, before I end this video, I want to mention a mathematician who made many contributions to the field of creativity, and this person is none other than Henri Poincaré. Poincaré was a great mathematician, and he made many contributions to the field of chaos theory and automorphic forms. So the next time you think mathematicians aren't creative, remember Henri Poincaré.